that money run on down the line. Take that money run on down the line.
The organization is called?
Seed Schools.
So Seed Schools is what? What are you guys doing with Seed Schools?
Yeah. So the whole philosophy is that it's very difficult to change the syllabus and the way of teaching. It's ingrained for a long time. One thing we felt we could change and make an impact was the culture within the school. So when most kids come to school, they're nervous, they're scared because it's such a strict environment. So one of the things we started doing very early on was to say, let's make learning fun, right? And if they come and they enjoy the school, they'll get engaged. And pretty quickly we started seeing a lot of changes. Even in the teachers, we started seeing the changes. Because they were also relaxed, they realized the environment was different.
Right.
Grades are important because you have to be competitive, you have to get admission, key part of our curriculum. But again, there was the whole environment within the school because of what we changed very quickly, and we started seeing results. So even like after holidays, like equivalent like a Christmas holiday in the US,
Right.
we started seeing that kids were coming back on time. Typically they take 10, 15 days, even after the holidays.
To get back to school?
To get back to school. So we started seeing that. We started tracking some of the attendance.
And you track that back to the fact that they're just having fun?
I mean, the kids were like, some parents were like, our kids want us to come back, right? Not everyone. Some kids just want to stay out of
Yeah.
school. And but we started seeing some changes, and
Yeah.
also the parents got more engaged. So I don't know if we made a magnificent change, but we're starting to see change within the schools.
You basically have three schools currently?
We have 3, and we're adding 2 more. One is going to be new construction, and we're going a little bit different instead of the state syllabus. We're going to the national syllabus, which is called CBSE.
Why do you do this? Like, why in the world? Honestly, there's got to be a motivation here. for
Temporary
you.
insanity is the No, I think, look, we're seeing it's difficult. It's not easy by any means, and especially commuting back from the US to India every other month, being away from home.
Yeah.
Not easy by any means. But when I get to the school and I see the kids and I see how the changes are happening and what we're supporting, have we done everything right? Probably not. But I think we have seen a dramatic change within the schools. And we've actually introduced some new things. There's a big talk about now about the digital technology within the schools, ed tech. It's helping, but I'm not sure it's going to replace the schools. So we're actually using some ed tech within the classroom environment to help the teachers and then the teaching mechanisms. But still, I feel the brick and mortar schools are very important.
Well, you're not giving up on the teachers at all. So it's ed tech plus
Yeah.
teachers. And
Absolutely.
teachers you feel like are important to this whole learning experience?
Most students, within 5 to 10% of students within a school will be self-motivated. They'll get to the point of teaching themselves, right? Then we probably have another 20% that'll get there somehow. The remaining 75% or so are really struggling. We have to motivate them, we have to coach them, we have to guide them, we have to make it exciting for them. That's where our teachers come in.
You have an incredible backstory. What happens when you walk into that school and you see these kids and they're happy? What does that mean to you personally?
From the story point of view, I came when I was 14 and things happened and I was on my own. The reason I didn't go back was because of the education system. The 6 months in the US, I was like, I'm not going back. Right? And because it was so different. And although there's some very good things, like students are very disciplined compared to here. Here we were rowdy, we were doing the things. If we had some discipline plus the US environment, I think US would be in a different place. We have the discipline, but we don't have that sort of the fun environment in the school, right? So for us, is that distinction that's saying, hey, let's make it fun, but keep the discipline in the school, but give the kids where they can be engaged in the school. So we would do one of these classes called CETL, which is the digital technology in the classroom. I love going to these classes. I see these kids, they're engaged, their hands are up, they're giving answers, wrong answers, they're helping each other. That's what excites us, right? Normally you go to a class, kids are just sitting there, teachers writing on the board, they kind of
Right.
sitting there like, when is this class over so I can go to the next one?
Yeah.
The kids actually ask us for this digital classroom.
Yeah.
So digital ed tech is important, but how do we use it within a school environment is going to be critical.
These guys are ready to give an answer.
I mean, yeah, the hands are up. Typically, that doesn't happen in the Indian environment.
How do you see yourself in that application of these schools.
I mean, we're doing our part. And again, I don't think, hopefully we'll be an example for other schools. They can come see what we're doing. And we're also learning from other schools some things they're doing better than we are. So I think that combination, if we can be that innovator in this school segment, it's 3 schools, but within 3 schools, if 5, 10 schools in our neighborhood also adapt what we're doing, then the multiplier effect is there.
Right.
So when you walk into a school, what's the title that you have? What do they call you?
I don't have a title. Yes.
Headmaster, Mampatani comes in, or whatever they call you.
See, each school has their own team with the
Right.
principal, headmaster.
Yeah.
So they know that. So they know that I'm somehow involved in the school team. Students know that. And they see me there regularly enough.
Did they know your backstory? Did the kids know your backstory?
No. I think
Okay.
the team knows, part of the team knows.
Yeah.
And so the way we're structured is we have a corporate team.
Yeah.
And then we have school teams. So the corporate team definitely knows. I engage with them even when I'm in the U.S., I talk to them on a daily basis. And they've been phenomenal, right? So they then help me run the schools. And then the school takes the responsibility of the day-to-day affairs. Yeah, so my dad got a green card. This was in the late 70s. And so they basically had applied about a decade before that. And they said, hey, either you go or we're going to take your name off the list. And in those days, they were looking for engineers to come to the U.S. So my father came, tested the waters, and got excited. And he worked with a family member. Came back and said, we're going to go to the U.S. next year, so I'll go get us settled in. So he came the summer of 1980, and sort of got things settled in. And somehow, his own constraints and sort of having to restart at that age, and with kids and responsibilities, he didn't feel comfortable. So for his own peace of mind, and my mother's like, I'm not going. So came back and told us that we're not going. Like, no, you're not going, I'm going. I don't know how we're going to do this, but I want to go. And in those days, we didn't know much about the U.S., right? There wasn't, other than what we read in the comic books or books that we read. So to me, the U.S. was the place to be, and things were wonderful. And to my parents' credit, I mean, I think, imagine letting a 14-year go, right? And Indian kids are typically quite pampered and well taken care of. So my father called my uncle here and said, hey, Arish wants to come. And so my uncle agreed, and somehow things didn't work out. And the option was for me to go back. And I said, I'm not going back. And was because of the education system.
That's the one reason you didn't want to go back
The
to
only
India.
reason. But it was very difficult, right? I'm on my own. I'm 14 years old. I left my uncle's place. I kind of worked in motels late at night, 12-hour shifts, went to school during the day.
During high school.
During high school. So 9th, 10th, 11th grade. And struggled, some nights slept in the car, some nights, just manage. And friends are also great, right? So a lot of my friends were also very helpful, stayed with them. Their parents were supportive. And in the summer times, I worked multiple jobs. And summer before my senior year, I became friends with this family. Their son and I became good friends, and also to the family. And first week of my senior year, they called me and said, come on over, Mom and Dad want to talk to you, and invited me to come live with them. And it was a game changer, right? So I went from living in...
Not just a game changer, this is like...
It's a life changer, actually.
Well, I think the thing that really struck me about your story is, like the kids in Hyderabad, and they actually struggle the same way you actually struggled here in the U.S., to the point that you worked in, motel, working around the clock at age 14. I can't believe that's the case. But you struggled, and you worked constantly, and you educated yourself. So you actually identify with the kids in Hyderabad. You didn't start that way. It was not like you were an elite person who...
But the reality is today, if I look at what's helping me, it's not the high school education.
Right.
The college, I figured out what I wanted to do. High school helped. Certainly it helped me get to that level and keep, stepping stone, right? But it's the other aspects, the work environment, the work experience, which Indian kids don't get. Right? And being able to sort of deal with the public at that age, and those things were a lot more important than work in restaurants when I was in college and paid my way through college.
Right.
I think those things are so much more important. Education helped. Yeah, you obviously need your expertise within a domain. But now things are also changing. right? So you don't require necessarily a college degree to work at Google or Facebook.
Right.
And you can get very specialized degrees and you can do them online. So I think from the things that we went through, I think now if we can help these kids get to that level and specialize, and you don't have to be good in every subject, you figure out where you're good and start building that out. I think that's what's becoming very exciting for us now.
You have an immigrant story.
Yeah.
You came to this country from elsewhere because you wanted to be here. As a 14-year-old, we've been all over the world and stuff like that. There's several people that are here in the U.S. not because they wanted to be there, they just happen to be here. Think about South Carolina, Richmond, and things like
of
that,
course.
right?
Yeah.
You took ownership of your own life at a really early age. Of all the places that one could be, you're here. What does this country mean to you?
One important lesson that I learned, if you had looked at me when I was in India at 13, 14 years old, and you would have said, can Harish make it on his own at 14? The answer would have been absolutely not, right?
Yeah.
But once I came in that environment, I wanted to do it. This is what I wanted, right? I was willing to sacrifice. My parents sacrificed a lot, probably more than me. We don't give kids that opportunity to sort of say, hey, I'm going to go do it. I'm going to try it. And things could have gone very wrong. I'm not, also it wasn't all that bad to be on your own at 14.
Not every decision at 14 is a good decision.
So I did a lot of wrong things, obviously, right? But things could have turned very different. Luckily, because of the upbringing was good, I think parents had a good influence that we were able to get on the other side of it, right? We don't know what we can do until we sort of push in that environment and keep trying. So, even when I start things, when I started seed schools, I'd been in that environment, did very little research other than that. So I'm just going to go do it. I'm going to figure it out.
Right.
Right? If I look at it too deeply, there'll be enough reasons for me not to do it.
Oh, sure.
Right? So I'm just going to jump into it and we'll figure it out. And we've had hiccups, we've had funding issues. We've almost had to shut schools down.
Right.
But we've sort of said the desire was there to do it.
Sometimes it is extremely difficult, and you're going to, be put in a situation that you don't even really know how you're helping or if you're helping.
I mean, there's
Absolutely.
a billion plus Indians out there. And I always wonder what makes one person succeed versus another person succeed. And your excuse is not so much that you were super good at, education. You had something inside of you that was a drive, and you just said, and maybe it's dumb luck, and maybe it's just.
Hey, you don't have to make it sound so bad.
Like you say, some of it's just like it's a 14-year-old mentality of like the world's my oyster. I don't care who you think I am. This is who I'm gonna be.
I think the family that took me in, to literally take me off the streets and trust me to live with them, it's a big step, right?
Huge step.
And never expected anything out of me. Just supported me, right? Without any sort of any selfish reasons. So I think this is a way to give back for me. And my wife and I talked about this. We said, hey, we want to do this. We never did it for whatever reason. And when this opportunity came, I said, Rupal, I want to do this. And she said, you have my full support. I'm just not moving to India. But other than that, because I have my life here. But other than that, whatever you need, I'm with you.
What does success look like for your students?
See, it'll be different for everyone, right? And some will get in trouble, some won't make it. But I think if we can give them that platform to keep trying and share our stories and say, hey, we were in your same place, but this is how we did it.
I think that you are a person that they can look to and say, I can do that.
Look, I think you have to try, right? There are a lot of tough nights, tough days, to go to school, and the nights that I didn't have money and I would eat bread and hot sauce on it. Just wanted some
Hey,
flavor.
bread and hot sauce, not too bad.
That's all you got,
That's
though?
all you
when
need.
that's all you got?
Yeah, it's better than a lot of other kids, right?
Yeah.
So many kids, even in the U.S., are struggling today. 50% kids don't have access to internet in the U.S.
Oh, gosh.
Right? So the issues are there everywhere, and the magnitudes are different. I think the number of kids that don't have it in India, they don't have the support system. Those issues are here as well.
You are an American, and you're also a South Asian Indian. What would you say to people who say, why do you care about the people of India? You're an American now, so why do you care?
See, if we don't create global opportunities, even in the U.S. there's a talk about, people have made it. The beauty of the U.S., and at least in my mind, was when I came, you can work in a McDonald's, and I did that. Work in a restaurant, I could pay for my college, I could pay for my car, I could pay for a place to stay, and all of us did that. All my friends who worked in the restaurants with me, we did that. We went through college. I'm not sure that's possible today to that same level. And if our community is not strong, we're not going to enjoy the benefits. And I'm seeing that that similar scenario in the U.S. is what's in India. So there's a huge divide. It's a huge gap.
Exactly.
So to me, it's very important for me to take care of my neighbors, and like this one, the Ray family that took care of me.
Right.
Right. I mean, they made my life. Right.
You won the lottery.
I won the lottery. I mean, beyond that, right? And so I think that if we don't have that same environment, which I think is getting away in the U.S., right? Is my fear. And I think if in India, that's actually getting better, because now people are studying and they're able to get technology jobs. So it's a competitive environment, and I want to make sure that I can add value.
How many school-age kids are there in India?
About 250 million.
How is it that one kid stands above any other kids in 250 million? I mean, we talked about the fact that it feels like you won the lottery and you got it, you made your way out.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of kids that will never, ever make it out.
Yeah.
So what makes the difference between one kid versus another?
So, one of the things we're doing is we're exposing the parents also. Look, there's more beyond just medical and engineering. I'll give you an example. So we had this one student, and he came to me and he said, "Sir, I want your phone number." He was just graduating, and he said, "I want to stay in touch with you." No one in the whole classroom had even had the courage to come talk to me, right? Because
You're an intimidating figure.
yeah, whatever, right? But he had the courage to do it, right? And his father was pushing him towards engineering. Then he kept following up with me. He's like, "Hey, would text me, would WhatsApp me, and so forth." And I started thinking. So I told his father, I said, "Look," I said, "he's going to be a great sales guy. Right? You're pushing him in engineering. Great if he does it.
Yeah.
You want to do it. It's up to you." But where I see him, he had no fear. Right? He came and talked to me. He came in one day. He said, came and shook my hand. Said, "Welcome back, sir. Good to see you." No one's done that
No
to
one
me,
does it.
right? So so I told the principal. I said, "Hey, he came and kid came and talked to me. It's been a few years ago, so I'm not remembering his name." So she said, "Oh, he's a lousy student. Doesn't do his work." So I said, "Hey, I'm gonna just raise a point." I said, "The way the student came and spoke with me this morning was the way you should be addressing people, and you should go do that." Right? I said, "So I want you to teach everyone how you came and addressed me, how you were not scared, and how you came and talked to me, shook my hand." I said, "That'll be important for you to be able to approach people." And all of a sudden, this kid in the classroom is like, his whole posture changed and demeanor changed. And so that afternoon, I'm waiting for the cab to come in, and there's a line of this entire class. And I'm on the phone. They're like, "Welcome back, sir. Good to see you." So I'm like, "Hey, I got to call you back," and put the phone down. And I addressed all of them. So think about it, right? Now this one kid, his confidence level changed.
Yeah,
So I said,
totally.
"Look," I said, we were in sales, right? We were in wealth management. It was all about sort of getting clients. And you're always intimidated to call on people who are doing much better than you.
Right.
He didn't care. So those are the difference we're making, Earl. So,
Yeah.
great, you can be in medical if you can get there, phenomenal. But we're finding, I want the kids who are struggling, because we want to find that something, some spark. So that's what we're trying to
You
do.
haven't screwed your life up at 14 if you're not on the track to be medical or engineering. Think about you and I, Craig.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
not model students necessarily, but never losing the hope that you can be something bigger, because you get to see that there's opportunities that are out there that are non-traditional sometimes,
Look, I have a lot of friends and a lot of people I know who have done phenomenally well. I'm part of this group called TIE, which is all accomplished entrepreneurs and leaders around the world. You also have to be satisfied with your own self, right?
Right.
So I think that's also critical to know. This is what I want to do. Would I be making more money in wealth management? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But this is more important to me, and I think we're making a difference. And I've also had phenomenal, friends who have supported us through the financially and morally to get to this point. And I think we're at the trajectory where now we're going to add more schools. I don't want to do it in a rush.
Yeah.
I think we're at a point, we've got a good team, and we're adding more gradually.
Well, I think I can say on behalf of Earl and I, we admire what you're doing, man.
Very kind.
We
been very lucky.
really admire what you're doing, man.
And look, there are a lot of good people that are doing a lot of great stuff in education. around the globe.
Of course there are.
So I think I want to recognize all of them also.
Whatever.
Without their support.
Whatever.
So I think we're all creating this community which helps each other.
I think it goes back to this whole concept, not to push back too much, I'm just saying, there's models that we hold out there that are not me or you or Craig,
Yeah.
that are models of
Exactly.
success.
Yeah. But I tell you, there's people that haven't come to the U.S., who've been in India, haven't got the education that we've gotten, are also really, I'm like very impressed with many of them, not all of them, but I see a lot of them really, really making an effort. And we have people come to us say, hey, we understand this, what you're doing. Can you show us what you're doing? Like, absolutely. Come to the school anytime.
Right.
And we want to come to your school and learn as well. So I think that
Hopefully we
collaboration.
can tell all of their stories as well.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you are from Atlanta and you are also from India, and you have understood what it takes to kind of motivate students to be better.
We're trying to do our part, but again, phenomenal team, a lot of supporters along the way. So I think it makes a lot of difference.
There's so much more to explore, and we want you to join us on The Good Road.
For more in-depth content, meet us on the internet at thegoodroad.tv.
Hear more great stories, connect to organizations, and make sure you download our podcast, Philanthropology.